2 weeks. That is all we have left to mock draft, twiddle our thumbs, talk about how players get off without being side-eyed, talk about arm length, hand size without making dick jokes, and use phrases as our pal Mike Giardi did earlier this week. Catcher of the football, not have people stop us. But then again, I stopped them, and so we move on. It is Thursday, April 10th, 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. Personally, right out of the gate, I got to tell you, this is one of my least favorite times of the year. Because teams, if you ask them, and I have, hey, could you draft tomorrow? Like if Roger Goodell placed a call, just said, hey, we're going to speed this up. We're going to draft Saturday. Get your boards ready. Let's go. Get on the phone. Could you do it? Oh, yeah, we would prefer it that way. But the NFL being the NFL, they want to fill the whole calendar, want to stretch us out. Biggest TV event possible. Credit to them. They're very good at it. So we fill the time here on the pod, which, to be honest, especially this year, I was grateful with everything going on with the coaching changes, getting ahead of free agency, all the money they were going to spend. It did spend. Not as much time to dedicate to the draft this season. But finally, after all the note-taking and checking clips and looking at times and our relative athletic scores, I got 12 prospects for you on offense that I love. Capital L, capital O, capital V, capital E for the Patriots. Now, does this mean the Patriots will draft all of them? No, of course not. Okay, over under, maybe even just 0.5. We'll be a little braver and say 1.5 that they end up selecting in a couple of weekends. If your player that you like, let's say you have a board, maybe it's not even a big board, it's just a small board, is not on this list, it does not mean I don't like them. This is just to say these are 12 players that I see as great fits for the Patriots, not just because of who they are as players, but where they're likely to be drafted, what the Patriots are likely going to be seeking, and what players will be available when the Patriots should be seeking those positions. For example, Ashton Genty is going to be a top 10 whatever pick. Great talent. Patriots only have 3 running backs. They could use another one. It's not where they're going to go looking for one. And if they do, as you know by now, I'm going to crush them for it because it's a deep running back class. Running backs are not that valuable. And you need a good offensive line to support a great running back to make a winning difference, just as Saquon Barkley. But the Patriots should be looking for them maybe late round 2, certainly in round 3, 4, 5. So the names that I will have for you here in a second start there. Tight ends, similar range. Receivers, a little bit higher. Offensive linemen, as high as possible. We've done a lot of Will Campbell talk. Armand Membou. I have some more tackles. And I will say, too, the players I listed on my mock draft with Mike Giardi, some made the list, some did not, because we're trying to cover all the bases. If I just gave you the same names and players and thoughts over and over again, this podcast would stink. You might already think it's closer to that territory than in the other direction. But the point is, we have 12 prospects that I love for the Patriots. I will have 12 defensive prospects I love for the Patriots later on next week. Speaking of next week, if you want to join the show, as Gary Langley did on Tuesday, he's the all-time leader in male fan segments. You can do the same. It's this simple. $5 donation to Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Our guy, Doug Kide, is leading this incredible campaign to raise money for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, henceforth known as LLS, to fund money for cancer research, which is being actively cut by the government right now, and to help families dealing with the same battle that Doug and his family had to do before Hallie unfortunately passed away last year. Which is not to bring the podcast down. It's just to say, if you want to come on this show, you want to talk Patriots, donate $5 at the link pinned to my Twitter, or you can email me and ask for the link. You can do whatever you want to get in contact with me aside from calling, and I will give you that link. You can come on the show. We'll do 5-10 minutes, whatever you want. All right? Now, if you would like to have a longer show, and it's not on YouTube, it's not on Spotify, it's not on Apple, but Giardi comes, Mark Daniels, and Doug shows up, and Fitzy, who's kind of been banned from the podcast because he's a big shot at WEEI, and he likes to keep its big shots on the outside, you can come and hang out with all of us, okay? Thursday, April 17th, 7:30 in Weymouth. It's the Patriots pre-draft party, DRAUGHT. Shout out old British spellings that now when you grow up in this day and age make no sense. But the point is, we'll have a full panel for Patriots questions. Your questions answered. There's a great silent auction. Patriots tickets, Red Sox tickets, a Mike Vrabel signed football, one delicious vitamin C beer, that being the brewery in Weymouth, by the way, where we're having the pre-draft party. So come out. There are more great guests that we are still confirming, but whether you come to see us, ridicule us, ask questions, bid on those items, or just get some of the best beer you will find in the best beer state in the union, I will fight any of you from Maine or Wisconsin, all due respect. Please do so. That is another event where all the money goes to LLS. $25 a ticket. Find it on my X or Twitter. Email me. Look at Fitzy. Doug, we have been promoting nonstop. We will continue to do so to raise money for the best cause possible. Thursday, April 17th, 7:30, the draft party in Weymouth. Vitamin C, SEA Brewing. All right. Last thing before we get to these 12 players, which was like a lot of buildup, but you know this is kind of how the show goes sometimes. Couple of tidbits from this week. Tuesday, talked to Harold Landry, talked to Marcus Jones. Today, we heard from Garrett Bradbury and Antonio Gibson. So not an A-list of current Patriots, but the Patriots started their offseason program this week. And it's a lot of, softball-ish time of year, press conferences. Guys are coming back in. What you like to see your teammates? What do you think about the new coaches? What about the systems? Yada, yada. It is clear more than ever, and this is something we've been saying for a while, Mike Vrabel is putting his imprint on this program, okay? Down to music blaring in the halls, down to him quizzing players, as we heard from Antonio Gibson and Garrett Bradbury today, in team meetings, one example. And this clip actually got leaked somehow by like the team's Spanish social media team, and then pulled down. Vrabel's first part of his first team meeting, Monday, voluntary, off-season program. He's listing the team goals. Okay, win the division, yada, yada. Here are the team rules. Respect the team, be on time, et cetera, et cetera. Thursday, today, in the morning meeting, this is where the quiz part comes in. Point to certain players around the room. Hey, what did I say Monday about our team goals? Okay, this is a very Belichickian thing, but it's got a Vrabel spin to it because we know Bill wasn't playing music in the halls. And the way he's going to get hands-on, as Antonio Gibson said today, kind of feel like Vrabel's holding back already with the energy and how he wants to do his job. But per league rules, no hands-on coaching yet. Anyway, this is a team that is starting to come together, specifically on offense. They have not even begun to install the playbook. They are working on terminology. How can we all be on the same page and the same language that Josh McDaniels has tweaked a little bit, but is still going to be that base offense? And guys who have been around the league, players or coaches, by the way, Thomas Brown, Todd Downing, guys who've been a lot of different places now in the staff, Doug Marrone included. How can we all say the same things and know what we mean? That's where they're at. Defensively, they're a level above. And the difference being, well, Josh McDaniels' offensive staff has come from all these different places, and they've molded parts of the system. And you got players who are learning it. The defensive staff virtually all work together in Tennessee with Vrabel. Like, they're ready to go. They know the language that they're speaking. So they've begun to install concepts and different techniques and fundamentals. It's all still classroom work, but an understanding that the offense hasn't gotten to yet. It doesn't mean they're going to be behind. It's just to say that when they say we're going to take things day by day and meeting by meeting, that's the difference. And naturally, come summer, when I remind you that training camp, the first week, is always a big win for the defense. Defense dominates is going to be in a headline of training camp recap. I guarantee you. I will bet you anything. I will bet you a delicious vitamin C beer. Defense dominates is going to be the headline of a Patriots training camp recap. This is the reason why. They always have a head start, but especially this season with the staff, the way it come together. The good news, again, as we continue to add more good news, is that they're 2 weeks ahead of most teams. Will not begin to have their offseason programs until later this month. So this is how they're using their time. I think it's wise. It's cool to get these little tidbits. And other news, Adam Vinatieri, Julian Edelman, and Logan Mankins are now finalists for the Patriots Hall of Fame. This is the last little news nugget, and then we'll get to the players. If I was casting a vote, and I just might, because you just have to go online to patriots.com, my vote would, without a second of hesitation, will go to Adam Vinatieri. And this isn't to say Julian Edelman shouldn't get in or Logan Mankins shouldn't get in. It's just to say of any player after Tom Brady, you cannot tell the story of the New England Patriots and specifically the dynasty without Adam Vinatieri. From the Snow Bowl to Super Bowl 36, 38, even 39, when thanks to a late Eagles touchdown, he ended up kicking a game winner, even though it put him up 10 at the time. Okay. That guy is the foundation of the dynasty. Changed and shaped the legacies of Brady, Belichick. He should get in. Then Edelman should go in. Then Mankins. And this is also partly the reason why a couple years ago, might have been in the pandemic, I said they should make an exception and start getting guys in. Turns out Robert Kraft already is with Bill Parcells. But the point is, Adam Vinatieri should go in. He should have been in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That was an ultimate stub a couple of months ago. Anyway, so vote for Adam would be my pick. So are we ready to talk draft? Yes, I thought we are. All right. So again, these are not the best players in the draft. These are not all of the best fits for the Patriots, but considering the caliber of the player, where they're likely to be drafted, how deep their specific positions are, where the Patriots are picking, and when they're going to be looking for players who play these positions. Again, we did the Genti example. I would cover this also for tight end, which was not as deep of a class, by the way, as even someone like Elliott Wolf had told the media. Like, I really think it's a deep tight end class. I don't particularly agree, but I don't see Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland as being high on their priority list. and number 4. So when I start with Elijah Arroyo, that's why I think he's much more of a target at 38 than either of those 2 other guys would be at number 4. So are you ready? Good. It's time for our first break. All right, if you're a Patriots fan, I've got a good feeling that you are feeling pretty good. Mike Vrabel is back. Drake May is going to make a year 2 leap. Oh, and there's a simple fact that as the Patriots go into a new season, it really just shouldn't get any worse, okay? We've been through 4-13, not once, now twice. Things should be on the up and up. But if you don't want to wait to watch the Patriots win in September, and October, and November, maybe December, January, you don't have to. You can win right now with me over at Prizepicks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You've heard me talk about Prizepicks before. It helps me spice up watching regular season Celtics and Bruins, and now the Red Sox are back, and it's so simple. Here's how it works. You build a lineup. Whomever you want, whatever stats you want, you lock it in more or less. It could be 2 players, and you could be looking at their hits, or it might be points or assists, or whatever it might be that particular night. 3-pointers as the Celtics go into the playoffs, and you look at that player, you click more, you click less, you do that for 2 players, boom, that's a whole lineup. But let's say you want to get a little frisky. You want to build out a 6-player lineup at Prizepicks, and you go more or less, and they're different statistics. You can take $5 and turn that into $1,000 because Prizepicks is still the best place to get real money sports action anywhere. And best of all, if you sign up today, you will get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed, not to mention weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday. Every Tuesday, you get up to $25 or 25% more to provide more value on your lineup. So don't wait anymore, okay? Basketball's going to the playoffs. Hockey's going to the playoffs. The Sox have a long season ahead. Spice up that season. Download the Prizepicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prizepicks, run your game. All right, and here we go. Starting with the running backs. Dylan Sampson is one of 2 known running backs to take a 30 visit to Foxborough. Pay attention to those 30 visits. They are not all just a list of players that the team, specifically the Patriots, but this goes for every team, would love to draft. Sometimes it's to answer character questions. Sometimes it's to settle debates within scouting departments. But when you're the Patriots and you're looking at a guy that led the SEC and was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year with almost 1,500 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns, there's not a whole lot to figure out. Okay, Dylan Sampson is 5'8". He's 199 pounds. He's only 20 years old. Ran a 4.42 at the combine. He's a competitive as hell type of runner. Okay, he's not going to smash through tackles, but he is not going down on first contact if he can help it. He's going to fight and push and scratch and claw for everything he can get, which of course checks maybe the biggest box for a Mike Vrabel type player. That looks like Dylan Sampson. Now he is small. Okay, he didn't have a great body of work as a pass catcher at Tennessee, but from what I saw, had soft hands. And when he gets in space, has the elusiveness in addition to the willingness to gain extra yards that you need in that type of role. So when I look at him as someone who's a late 2nd round pick, early 3rd round pick, and the Patriots are currently scheduled to pick at 69, if Sampson falls, not only is that where he'd be comfortable taking what they're looking for, which is a pass catching back, ideally to play on 3rd downs behind Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and Terrell Jennings, the only running back left on the roster. Sampson checks a lot of those boxes, and given their already demonstrated interest of bringing this guy in, I don't know what there's not to like about a 20-year-old dude who basically dominated in the best conference of college football as much as a running back can. So he's a weapon. I think he could play. Will he be available at 69? That's a different question, but Dylan Sampson has to be on any list of running backs that the Patriots should be looking at and could be a fit here in New England. That's why we lead with him, which again, this is a deep running back class. I don't have everyone here that would also fit this description. This is my list, guys that I like. Next on the list, RJ Harvey. Similar to Dylan Sampson. Comes out of Central Florida. He's also 5'8", just over 200 pounds. He is also 4 years older, has 4.4 speed, super explosive in his cuts, okay? And that explosiveness was verified in his vertical jump and the broad jump at the combine, in addition to being a guy who's a little bit smaller and gains yards where sometimes he shouldn't. He was a team captain. So Harvey currently is projected when you look at the consensus board, and this takes together all the expert, usually media, big boards, right? Your Daniel Jeremiah's, Dane Brugler's, Todd McShay's, Mel Kiper's. At The Athletic, they don't have him on the top 100. So I look at Harvey and go, okay, Dylan Sampson, they miss at 69. They don't love anyone at number 77 where they have that 2nd, 3rd round pick, thanks to the Falcons. They can wait early day 3. That's where I think RJ Harvey should be here. He had more than 1,400 yards in back-to-back seasons, 20 catches, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, just a natural runner. Okay, there might be a little bit more wear and tear in here that comes with being a 24-year-old, but between the explosiveness, the character in terms of being a captain, a guy that you trust to be a professional and step in right away, I think he just needs more chances as a pass catcher. And there's some rough spots in pass protection, but this is a guy who has a clear, identifiable role in year one, and I think could develop and hang around the league, even if that role doesn't grow for him based on what we've seen, especially last year at Central Florida. Last one, another short runner, but very different. Jarquez Hunter at Auburn, 5'9", 204, averaged 6.4 yards per carry, best in the SEC. This guy, as Landon Roberts once poetically said, will run through a motherfucker's face, okay? He is exceptionally physical. A lot of one cut and go in his own system over there at Auburn. Tons of runs, over 10 yards, 12 yards, 15, whatever your benchmark is for explosive plays. Hunter absolutely cleared those. He also contributed on special teams as the Patriots kind of pivot back to more Bill Belichick scouting. This is going to matter, okay? He had 10 tackles in special teams last year. He also returned kicks. He is a monster in the weight room. So while Harvey and Sampson have got a little bit more pull-away speed, like Hunter tested fine, but his deal is, okay, I'm running through you, I will drag you, and I will get whatever yards are in front of me. The issue is he can get a little hasty to run into that contact at the second level. I do think, though, with a little bit more tempo and patience, his vision will improve. The thing that you cannot usually improve are guys like him that intrinsically just want to kick your ass. And they know that doesn't happen just on Saturdays. It's how they lift on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. So he can contribute early as special teams. And then even though he's a bit more of a bruiser, you know, you look at him on screens at Auburn, there's a good release, you know, watches the ball into his hands, and then is ready to make one cut and go. So he's not James White. Okay, this might be a little bit more of a Brandon Bolden, especially towards the end of his career. I love the physicality, the special teams. He's also like Harvey, kind of like late day 3, or excuse me, late day 2, early day, mid day 3 here for Jarquez Hunter. All right, ready to talk receivers? Good. Jayden Higgins out of Iowa State. I don't know why he's not gotten more love. I mean, I know why, and we'll get to that in a second. But when you look at the Patriots, what they want and what they should need at receiver, it is a big X receiver, okay? Someone who might be 6'4" and 214 pounds. Someone who might be a former basketball player who is incredibly smooth in his routes, great body control, hand-eye coordination. Someone who might be, I don't know, a third-team All-American. Well, if you couldn't guess it by now, that's Jayden Higgins. He is a prototypical X receiver. Put him all alone. Ask him to win one-on-one. This goes for jump balls. It goes with long speed. Time to 4.47, by the way. And he might be a reach at 38. Right now on the consensus board, he's in like the late 40s, maybe 50 on the dot. He's durable as hell. Okay, there were questions that I thought he answered at the Senior Bowl upon watching a little bit more of that. Didn't see a ton in real time, which is why we didn't talk about it then. About pulling away with his long speed. He's explosive, okay, once he gets going. Not the fastest accelerator, but you see a lot of comps to Nico Collins. I didn't come up with this. You see this in a couple of different places. He's not as, I don't say like bulky because it sounds like he's slow and he's not slow, but I would agree. It's just, there's a raw nature to his game. And if you're the Patriots, you can go, all right, Stephon Diggs can be our X receiver for year one. Jayden Higgins gets to learn and develop behind him, then plug him and play, and maybe ask him to win some, you know, jump balls in the end zone and some fades. Perfect. But like this guy's physical skill set is a guy who does not drop balls. And honestly, you talk about the basketball skill set, like that was his main focus for stretches in high schools. You still see that on the field. This is a guy at 38, no problems with them, even if it's a little bit of a reach by the consensus board. Not knocking Jalen Noel, who's not on this list and also played at Iowa State. I just think he fits what the Patriots want, both short-term and has some long-term upside there. Jack Bech, TCU. Great Senior Bowl for him. 6'1", 214 pounds. Patriots, as we know, historically love the Senior Bowl, but Mike Vrabel's Titans also put a lot of stock in the Senior Bowl. Jack Bech is tough as hell. Okay, he played inside now at TCU. He's big enough, I think, full-time to play outside. He's got good routes, another big body control, hand-eye coordination. Only 2 drops in the last 3 years, according to The Athletic. Probably tops out as a number 2, which is why you see him on day 2 a lot in the consensus boards or different mocks. He does have some injury history, but he comes from an athletic family, and he just screams a guy that you know what you're going to get because he's going to maximize whatever potential he has. So I trust him to maximize that skill set and go from a guy who started at LSU, led the team in catches his first year there, transfers to TCU, after some injuries comes out, has over 1,000 yards. Like, he's physical, he's urgent, he's smart in his routes. There's not, canyons of separation between him and his defenders. But this is a guy that I trust to hang the league for a long time with the upside, like I said, to be a number 2 and maybe even surprise beyond that. Kyle Williams, another guy, Senior Bowl. He also took a top 30 visit to Foxborough. Not a giant big X receiver. The only one on this list that did not make that. And we go here, Higgins to Jack Bech to Kyle Williams. We're kind of going down from early round 2, now firmly in the 3rd round. Kyle Williams is 5'11", 190 pounds, 5th-year senior. Okay, so he's 22 years old. Separates really, really well underneath. He's the best separator on this list that I've seen. You talk 0 to 5, 0 to 10, maybe even 12 yards. Good in and out of breaks. Plays in the slot and outside. Tracks the ball well. For a guy who's 5'11", very, very good on deep balls. But the physicality is what, also impresses you, given the separation he's getting, and also makes you worry at the next level how long he can hold up. So I do think there's more nuance, as you would find a lot of guys coming out at this stage. Everyone needs to develop that he could have to his game, and you'd worry maybe long term about him bulking up a little bit bigger than 190. But there's not as much of a projection. You just put him in, you say, okay, I know how he's going to win. Smart receiver, got a good feeling zone. Like, he can contribute. Is it ever above wide receiver 3? I don't know. But if they want to plug and play someone that they can trust, especially with the Josh McDaniels playbook, Kyle Williams, more than most players, makes a ton of sense on this list. Now, this is our last receiver on the list. I mentioned him before. I kind of understood the lack of Jayden Higgins total hype. Tory Horton, man, at Colorado State, didn't play a ton of games last year because he got hurt, just 5, but 2 1,000-yard seasons before that. He is a long strider, ran a 4.41 at the combine at 6'3", 196. I don't get it. I need like this. He should be getting a lot more attention as someone who can make an impact, not only right away, but long term. There's toughness here. He's a 2-time captain, 3 punt return touchdowns, longer than 70 yards. But they got Colorado State, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But there's good tape against good teams here from Tory Horton. Again, probably late day 2, early day 3 pick. Did have some bad drops early in his career, but really smoothed that out over the last season and a half. There's toughness he shows over the middle. No, again, he's not this kind of quick twitch athlete, but long-limbed, fluid, long strider, legit long speed, someone who, if you develop properly, just has stuff that you're not going to find everywhere. To find that this late in the draft, where the injury brings him down, the small school brings him down a little bit. I'm going to gamble on a guy like that. Gamble. Late 3rd, early 4th round. If he goes in the 5th, like, this has real steal potential in my mind for Tory Horton. Tight ends, there are only 2 here. And so with that, we're going to take our second break. Can you feel it? Can you hear it? Can you see it? One of the best times in the sports calendar is coming up on the horizon. No, not Patriots OTAs, not minicamp, not training camp. I am talking about the NBA playoffs, baby, because, look, as the Patriots have decided to sit out on their own accord the postseason the last few years, I've had the great honor and joy of going to Celtics games at a sold-out TD Garden crowd for the last 4 years for the Herald. And I'm going back, even if my work won't send me, because thanks to Gametime, I can get in with the lowest price guarantee to any NBA playoff game this year. And you should too, because let's say you find even a lower price elsewhere. Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference because of their lowest price guarantee. And when you go to Gametime, unlike other places, you find an all-in pricing right up front. No fees, no extra charges, no this, no that. Just here's the number. If you want the tickets, boom, they're all yours. And best yet, you can see the view from your seats before you even get there. So if you want to deliberate, whether it's the Celtics or the Knicks or the Lakers or the Bulls aren't going anywhere, whomever you want to go see, you can see what it's like in your seat and compare in real time, but only with Gametime. So take all the guesswork out of buying tickets for NBA games or NHL or concerts or shows by going to Gametime and using Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account at Gametime and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. All right, we're back. I already told you, Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland not going to be on this list. And it's not because I'm going to scream if they're taken at 4 or 9. Won't be thrilled at 4. 9, I could understand. But the point to me is, if you're looking for a tight end who's all around, who's got rare athletic skills and has that play demeanor that Mike Vrabel covets, a no quit, no F's given type of attitude, Elijah Arroyo, the more I watch him, and I've actually seen him in person, caught a Miami game. They played Wake Forest, but the Pats went down and played the Dolphins. I could see him maybe late first round. Like, this guy is 6'5", 254 pounds, the potential to be a true all-around tight end, plus long speed down the seam, super fluid athlete, one of the biggest winners at the Senior Bowl. Whether you read or you try to rewatch some of the stuff that I found over the last few weeks and last month, added 35 pounds in college. Okay, fights like hell as a blocker, even when he's overmatched. He's a one-year starter, team captain for a stretch, does need to answer for a knee injury that's hobbled in the last 2 years, but 35 catches for 590 yards and 7 touchdowns. You're talking 16, 17 yards per catch as a tight end. Elijah Arroyo, from an athletic standpoint, mentality standpoint, who was a captain for 4 games because Miami rotates, but Mario Cristobal had great things to say about him. And I get the coach is only going to say good things about his player, but you see that attitude and that compete on the field at 6'5", 254, guy who's only 22 and showed up at the Senior Bowl. Love Elijah Arroyo for the Patriots. Whether or not they find the right timing, we'll see. The only other tight end in this list is someone that if you watch college football, you have absolutely heard of, because he showed out as a small school guy against Penn State and then Texas A&M. And you go, I don't know how it works, because this dude runs a little different than everyone else. Some have said like a duck, but it works. Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green, 6'3", 241 pounds, only 20 years old. He was a 2-year starter at Bowling Green, played inline, in the slot, and outside. And the reason you would know him, regardless of whomever you're watching, is this. Harold Fannin Jr. set FBS single-season records for tight ends with 117 catches, 1,555 yards, and was a consensus All-American. Again, big games against Penn State, and there was a runaway late, so he got to add on some stats in the second half. Showed up against Texas A&M, cleared 130 yards in both games with a touchdown. Great after the catch, outstanding after the catch. Not as much true straight long speed going to pull away from you, that the speed is good. It's much more the quickness in the feel and zone, man, whatever it is. So Daniel Jeremiah has gone and said the Julius Thomas comparison, it feels lofty. Then you watch and go, I can kind of see it. Where I've landed is more what Jonnu Smith should have been. So I understand when I say Jonnu Smith and that leaves my lips and hits your ears. It's there's like a face made about it. The point is, if you know how to develop him, this kid could be a real weapon. No, he's not going to be a dominant blocker in line. But if he's going to be number 2 and number 3, mixed in with Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, who you're like, yeah, they're fine. They're all-around guys. They're not going to dominate as blockers. You know, at least Henry's an above-average receiver. Give me the guy who's a little bit of a chess piece, who clearly can dominate against better competition, even if it's at the college level. He's only 20 years old. You get him after the catch. You get him isolated, even one-on-one to break some tackles. Harold Fannin Jr. is going to be super interesting prospect wherever he goes. Probably ideally a Shanahan system, as you see Jonnu Smith actually break out Mike McDaniel in Miami. But if he lands in New England, it's going to be one of the most fun watches of anyone in camp. All right, time to get to the big boys. We have 3 tackles here. We're skipping Will Campbell. I'm sorry. I have come to believe and accept the Patriots would take Will Campbell at 4. I don't think they want to do it at 4. I think they would love to trade back, okay, and grab someone at 7, 8, or 9, maybe 6. But for now, we're going to skip him because I do not see him as a long-term left tackle, given the wingspan, the arm length, and we've all spent way too much time talking about Will Campbell's fingertips, so we're moving on. The man we can't talk about, who I would take right now, April 10th, if the Patriots are stuck and have to pick, Armand Membou. 6'4", 332 pounds, an elite athlete at 332 pounds. Not just because he ran a 4.91. It's because he's powerful, he's quick, and explosive out of his stance. 3-year starter at Missouri, all at right tackle. Not great if you're the Patriots, but hold on. Good balance, core strength. He's fluid in pass protection, willing to bury his face in when run blocking. Talk about play demeanor, how much Mike Vrabel prioritizes that. You don't see a ton from Membou, but you see enough. Where this is a guy who was late to the game, physically developed, and blossomed at Missouri. You could see, I think, possibly switch to left tackle, given how athletic he is. Like, again, the man is over 330 pounds, okay? He ran a 4.9 in the 40, okay? And that's not only just 4.9 over the whole 40 yards. His first 10-yard split was excellent for a man of that size. And it's one of those stats that, believe it or not only just correlates with better offensive linemen, typically tend to be better athletes, and as measured by the 40-yard dash, it's a strong-ass correlation. So when I look at Armand Membou, not only is the tape good, okay, he was called for holding 3 times last year, but whatever. this is not just a short-term play as maybe your left tackle next year. It's a long-term play because Morgan Moses, well penciled in, sharpied in at right tackle, is still 34 years old. So whether he sticks there or not, I love what Armand Membou brings. He's been a, quote, late riser, but I think it's just because this was someone that, unlike Will Campbell, came into the season as a great left tackle prospect and whatever he was in 2023, second team All-American, third team, I don't know. Like, Membou did continue to grow on people and was at a school that is not playing on national TV and primetime spot on ABC all the time in Missouri. Like, they were good, but Membou now, as people get to spend more time with him, speaking for myself, I completely undersold him in January and February. I think he's legit here. I think he's worth the type of pick for a team that needs a tackle. And if there's no team that needs a tackle, the Patriots still do. Josh Simmons, mentioned him in the last episode, so we'll go quickly here. 6'5", 311. Smooth mover at left tackle. Only played 6 games at Ohio State. Torn patellar tendon, not good. Before that, had played some right tackle. Was a transfer from San Diego State. Just looks apart. Like, this is not only looks apart at the combine, which to me gets put a lot more value, or there's too much weight in that, scouting or when people talk about it. Looks the part on the game film. Really smooth in his different sets, whether they're jump sets, where it's a true drop set, in the run game, physical enough. This was a super multiple run scheme they ran with Chip Kelly at Ohio State. Big thumbs up for me. People who know better than I did coming into the season said he could have been headed for a top 10, top 15 pick. I trust that. The medical is a question, but as far as the versatility, the athlete, the tape, the age is only 22, and the scheme versatility, I'm sold on Josh Simmons, who could go, it feels like, from 15 all the way maybe to 35 come draft day. Last tackle, Josh Conerly at Oregon. Another guy we talked about with Giardi, but look, if the Patriots are going to take one, it has to be in the top 50 picks. So let's stay there, okay? 6'4.5", 311, another plus athlete, long arms, not a super finisher, but very, very balanced. Like, if there is a tackle who's about to land in his ass and at the last second can save himself, Josh Conerly's number one on my big board in that respect. And you go, well, that's not a great skill. Actually, it is for a guy who faced Abdul Carter and a bunch of really good edge rushers in the Big Ten. It's also great for someone, this is a great stat. Again, read the Beast, subscribe to The Athletic. Dane Brugler had this on Conerly. Only allowed 6 pressures in his last 12 starts, Conerly did. All of them in 2 games against Ohio State. So when you talk about pass protectors, you cannot go into a discussion of any offensive line position in this class without bringing up Conerly's name at the very least. 28 straight starts, voted the top offensive lineman on the national team at the Senior Bowl. And when they do those votes, by the way, it's by players on the opposing team. So defenders who are on the American team were asked who's the best offensive lineman on the national team. Their answer, Josh Conerly. Good tape against Abdul Carter that Oregon threw a lot at Carter to kind of nullify him, and they completely did. From the balance, his ability to win from losing positions, I think there's a little bit more potential here. He's not top 10, not top 15 material, but if there's a run on tackles, it's not just going to be Josh Simmons going. It's going to be Josh Conerly. And if the Patriots haven't taken a tackle by then and they need to trade up, this would be a big, big win for them, I think. Not only the way he plays the position, the fact that he does play the position, the durability, the attitude, all that. Sign me up. All right, there it is. First solo episode in a while. Next week, we will have more guests. We will get to 12 defensive prospects that I love a lot, and I will bat around with somebody else. And then soon enough, the draft is going to be here, and I cannot wait. So, if you did not hear me at the top, one last reminder. The pre-draft party, the Patriots pre-draft party in Weymouth at Vitamin C SEA Brewing. Me, Doug, Fitzy, tons more guests. Bid to win Patriots tickets, Red Sox tickets, Mike Vrabel signed football, have a beer, hang out, take pictures, get all your draft questions answered. This is going to be an awesome event. All the money goes to cancer research. I hope to see you there. And if not, we'll be back early next week.